going to be on the left-hand side, which means they have a first pick and first ban. I'm going to apologize real quick. I'm a little sick, so I'm going to cough once or twice doing these P's and B's. I'll try hard not to blow out your eardrums, though. Kabazot's going to be trying hard not to be played today, banned out by Elevate, and Ganesh, very, very strong support by NRG, taking off as well.
Usually the second pick will now start to ban away this new Guardian because of just how fast he clears these objectives with the Dharmic Pillars. What he can provide to the team fights is a lot of control, but also on top of that is that gold for his team.
So Elevate, they've got the first selection here after Bologna and Fafnir. Pretty standard bans. The death toll still in effect with all the cleave basic attacks, so Bologna not allowed, but Osiris, absolutely selection for Elevate. I like the way they did that. They made sure the enemy couldn't take advantage, but they will themselves, and Soul will show up for NRG.
There's still some other options for Dimmy to play in that solo lane. He could always play the Erlang Shen to play aggressive. Robin's available for both solo and jungle for NRG, but instead looking to take this double hunter, one physical, one magical between the Soul Carnunos.
Hun Bats, fantastic jungler here. He's got a very excellent initiation. When it comes to disrupting team fights, this guy is the man. Can't really deal with Fear No Evil.
You're just always looking to dive that backline for Elevate. The jungler there, is going to be making huge impact in these team fights with this god. So Adapting needs to figure out a way to call for his teammates to be prepared for that. But instead of even worrying about that Fear No Evil, he's going to be playing aggressive himself with the Nemesis, trying to maybe gank the solo lane here, because Osiris, you're really looking to strip away those protections despite the passive.
And the Nemesis also gets to really chase you really far with that shield, allows her to go dive towers and stuff. We really get to see a lot of aggressive plays out of him, like you mentioned. I'm excited. I like aggressive adapting. Second round of bans coming out here. Isis and Terra going to be taken away by NRG, so they want to really make sure there's not a lot of control on the side of Elevate. Both these characters have a lot of control in their kits.
It's also about the early game that you have to worry about against the Isis between Yaman and Adapting. They really want to control that mid lane and maybe look for some buff invades after the fact. And Isis is one of these gods you don't necessarily want to play against, because Nemesis, whenever you crowd control her, that shield that she activates gets stripped away. So Nox is going to be a great selection to counter the aggressive Nemesis.
Okay. Talk to us a little bit more about that, because we saw the Nox last game, and we understood the interaction between the ultimate of Naja come down, and there's a Nox ball. Why do we see her here in this comp?
Well, between Amaterasu and the Nemesis, two gods that want to be diving the backline in that mid to late game process, Nox, between her silence bubble as well as the root keeping them into place, is going to make it more difficult for NRG to find those opportunities.
Makes more sense. Kabrakin, a character that seems to have been left behind in yesterday's meta, still showing up here for Elevate, likely going to be there in the solo lane. Let's get right to game, folks. NRG versus Elevate, kicking it off hot here at NRG versus Elevate, kicking it off hot here. We'll be there in a moment. Geb, Amaterasu, very interesting selections. We'll head into game right about now.
And I think the Kabrakin here is actually going to be for Dardas here in that Guardian role. He loves to play these kinds of styles just to be in your face, and we saw him make some very impressive rotations earlier on in week number 1 when he was playing this Kabrakin. And Cherio here actually playing the jungle role this game for Elevate.
I really like that. I really like that. Cherio's a fantastic jungler, stepping in here for one of their previous members. And Cherio is a fantastic jungler, although he doesn't particularly love the role. And that's why we don't see him. That's why we saw him transition into Guardians on some other teams. But Elevate, in a time of need, Cherio comes through. I love this.
Yaman and Adapting, they get that early game mid pressure that we were talking about. Just going to be able to slowly extend their advantage by getting those Fire Giant Elementals. Meanwhile, the Bruce brothers here, I like what they're doing contesting the purple buff, because NRG, they start their own red buff almost no matter what composition they have between their Hunter Guardian, and they want to secure that red buff to allow Emilito to get that early pressure. But now, Elevate is level 1, and Emilito Raffer looking to make a play in that dueling.
Yeah, it's interesting here. I want to go back to what you mentioned about the roster change here. So Nico was the jungler in the past, for the past week or so. We're only here in week number 2. of the summer split. And Nico was the jungler of choice for Elevate earlier on, but no longer here. You know, I'm really curious. I haven't heard any rumblings as to why he might have left or was removed. Do you have any inkling of an idea?
No idea at all. But either way, though, he's still going to be a great plug-and-play for Cherio. Jermaine taking a lot of poke there in the dueling, but it's to be expected, honestly, against this red buff, purple buff here combination between NRG. Rafford and Emilita already sitting at level 3. Darts and Jermaine usually are not the ones that are letting things slip behind, but they weren't able to invade that purple buff, which is why we see such a disparity in the dueling.
So I love the Cabrakan on Dardes specifically. Cabrakan support is a character that it's not a bad support, but you have to have the mindset to play it. I feel like most anybody can play some of the other characters, like Athena, right? But when it comes to Cabrakan, you've got to have that aggressive mindset, because if you aren't aggressive on the Cabrakan, then you wind up just not doing enough.
And who better to be aggressive with than Dardes? He's always looking to make the plays, and even look at his relic selection going for the Sunder. I like this idea because for Cabrakan, he has a lot of crowd control options for him. He pops his steroid to get the Walrus hand, stuns you out, sunders you, and then all the burst damage from not only himself, but the rest of his teammates is just going to get amplified that further.
His passive is already providing a little bit of safety for his teammates. Obviously, it's not a shell, but it's nice to have in that direction, right? And then when you trap people in with the ultimate and the tremors, all of a sudden, you know, that Sunder, they just can't escape. In addition to taking extra damage, No Numbers jumps away to avoid the damage out of Yaman's Soul, who's still on the chase. Stellar Burst gonna slow him down. A couple of basics will seal the deal, but Nulissa shows up just in time. Now the members of NRG below half HP. Nulissa grabs him. Yaman's gonna be in some trouble, but Cherio chased away by the presence of Dimmy and Adapting. Adapting shows up for some extra pot shots, but ultimately no one will fall here. NRG, I love the defense coming out from Elevate as NRG goes their signature aggressive route. Elevate says no.
All the ultimates off the board on that side of the map. Still level 4 around the dueling, though, for these two Hunter Guardians here. Not really too much action for Elevate in the dueling. They've been receiving the worst side of things. Can't really find their stride quite yet. No Numbers, though, taking full advantage of this solo lane matchup. Osiris versus Amaterasu. You're looking at No Numbers, who's always that big lane bully between Bologna, Osiris, doesn't really matter, but Dimmy's always putting himself ahead or behind the team in terms of trying to get a better spot into mid to late game team fights. And Amaterasu, between her movement speed on her aura, the damage that she can provide with her ultimate, that's what Dimmy's gonna be bringing to the team fights.
That's over there in the solo lane, but over here in the mid lane, we're seeing this. What a strange matchup. Nox versus Soul. Now, Soul has become a relatively staple character, and I'm happy that people kind of finally caught on that she's good. Nox, on the other hand, I also like this character, but for many different reasons. And we covered a little bit, you know, Pretty Prime played her earlier in the first set, and here is Nulissa, but for a very different reason. I'm excited. Nulissa, relatively new player, not exactly a rookie, but not exactly a veteran either. And her play style and more importantly, her god pool have been pretty standard. She's got the Giannis,
the Vulcan as well, the Isis, which is why we saw NRG ban that away. But to me, just because we haven't seen it come out of her in the SPL doesn't mean that Elevate hasn't been experimenting behind the scenes. So I like what they've been able to bring out here in this very important set in week number 2.
Because for me, that's sort of the second step that you want to take as a team, right? I think you look at this Nulissa, Dardes, Jermaine unit, and sure, No Numbers and Cherio newer to the squad, but the 3 players on the left side of the map are really the standard, the points of interest when it comes to Elevate. These guys are the ground, the concrete is what I'm trying. The foundation is the word. Thank you very much.
Anytime to help you, F-Dot. Anytime.
My point is that they seem to have come together as far as the fundamentals are concerned. They understand some basic rotations, and they can teach that to some newer players. So what's step 2? Expand the god pool and add up mix-ups and unpredictability into your gameplay. Now seeing Nulissa on this character like Nox, it's very interesting to me, because it means that they've passed that step 1.
There's a lot of interesting mix-ups that you can do besides the God selection. You can always go for a different invade strategy.
Of course.
Such as even not necessarily an invade strategy, but an opening strategy, such as we see out of Emilito and Raffer, how they always start off that red buff, even sacrificing a whole wave under their tower just to make sure that Elevate doesn't invade the purple buff. And not only that, you're looking at the item selections, you're looking at the relic choices as well, who's going to be on top in terms of trying to sneak a Gold Fury away. These little small sneaky tactics, whatever you can do to get an edge, is going to elevate you through the standings to try to get to that top 4 spot for Valencia.
I like what you did there. But again, that is, I won't say a step 3 or step 4. I won't put a number on it necessarily, but I feel like that's beyond, right? Step 1 is learn how to play as a team, learn the map, learn how to play competitive Smite. Because competitive Smite, very different arena than ranked or, you know, even just in-houses, just a different world. And then, all right, now expand past your comfort picks. Find some other selections, find your team identity, and then dive into the playbook and get creative. That's where we see NRG and teams like Old Eager, right, really come together and use their mentality. But you've got to build that foundation of a team that can win games against virtually anybody, no matter what, because you understand the game, and then take that to the next level by expanding your God pool. And then from that point, you can go on. And so we've had the pleasure of watching Elevate go through all of those steps, and I'm very excited to see where the future for this team holds, because I maintain Ulyssa, Dardas, and Jermaine, very unfortunate situation with Fails going to Enix. Not for Enix, but a very unfortunate situation for Elevate, but they're making the most out of it, and they're still a good unit.
And on the flip side, NRG has also been going through different steps and different phases through their SMITE career as well, trying to mix things up, because now they're not always going to be this aggressive team that's looking for the speed buff invade that we've known to see out of them between Season 2 and 3. They're now playing a more very calculated game, trying to just maximize their farm whenever they can and allow their opposition to maybe make a small misstep to truly capitalize off of.
You know, when you're watching a TV show or a longer series, whether it's TV, books, or otherwise, and each season might focus on a different cast member?
Sure.
So this season is the season where NRG's sitcom they follow Dimmy's style. Dimmy's always been the one in the solo lane that I'll pick a losing matchup. I'll do what I have to do, and then late game, in the lane, he'll capitalize off of players' mistakes instead of being hyper-aggressive himself. And he's the more tactical, if Raffer is raw emotion and raw fight-itude, Dimmy's the other end, the yin to the yang, the calculation, the I hope you make a mistake type player. And as a unit, NRG are sort of embracing that this season.
Between adapting Yaman and Raffer as well, and Emilito rather, in the middle of all that side lane action, you're still looking for more of the staple plays here from adapting and Yaman. And so far this game, you know, they tried to go for an aggressive play towards the speed buff, but Elevate did a good job in thwarting it.
I mean, look at this is the perfect example of what I was talking about, the Amaterasu into Osiris.
Yeah.
And he loses his lane.
It's a losing matchup. You can't really do much about it. You're going to lose gold simply because Osiris has those cleave in hands, and Amaterasu needs to be around level 7 to fully clear the wave safely.
But
still needs to lose the gold and to make the
late
rotations.
Game.
You have more mobility, you have more damage as Amaterasu, whereas Osiris is just looking to tether you in the background, mitigate a lot of that damage, and just be that sponge of damage to absorb everything to allow the rest of his team to capitalize. Whereas Amaterasu has more utility as well, because if she gets a Frostbound Hammer, she's just going to chase you down till the end of the world.
Yeah, I mean, Osiris is just a big, beefy bouncer. By no stretch of the imagination am I saying he's bad or doesn't bring anything to a team fight, but a character like Amaterasu, power, speed, auras, silences, the big ultimate, there's a lot more application there, so you're giving up that lane in an effort to bring something a little bit later, and I feel like that's been NRG as a whole recently. Now, Spring Split, it's been, you know, it's been no secret that NRG weren't playing at 100%, and we're seeing them ramp up. And even with that ramp up, and I think we're getting up to top speed now, even with that situation there, I see the difference in their play style, and I like it.
Well, they're still needing to make some necessary adjustments here because Adapting is one level behind. But look at this, despite Demi having that losing matchup, still doing a great job out farming no numbers. And that could be due to the fact that maybe Cherio was just absorbing too many lanes here out of the solo lane as no numbers just now hits level 12. Adapting, still looking for that second relic slot.
Well, Cherio and Nulissa have been a level to 11.5 ahead of NRG's jungle and mid laner for pretty much the entirety of the game, and a little bit of that has to do with the pathing in the jungle and where everybody decided to go, and a little bit of that had to do with NRG and their lack of maintaining of the neutral camps. Mid camps have gone to elevate a number of times, and here you see Cherio with the vision, making sure that his team can go ahead and obtain the oracles, which are set to spawn right now. And this type of play, this attention to the neutral camps, has allowed Elevate to really succeed.
As the players are about to get more levels, more items, there's going to be more action. Level 12 on Cherio. He's went for the second relic slot on this Blink. He's going to be very aggressive, and I love the other relic selection that he has as well because he went for the Aegis Amulet. You're looking for all the gods out of NRG. The control is mostly only out of Raffer, so as long as Cherio can wait out for that Cataclysm knock-up combination, that's his time to shine and to go in, or unless he goes in first and then controls Raffer with the Fear No Evil himself, then he doesn't have to worry about that control, and he could save his Aegis Amulet for the burst damage out of Adapting Amulet.
Set up an ambush here. Here comes the ultimate out of Cherio with Nulissa and Dardes right around the corner. Solo lane teleport going to be cut short, so Nulissa in trouble now. Beautiful wall coming out by Dardes to separate the rest of the enemy squad from his mid laner. Now she's going to ride her along with the support. Exit right in time, but still, NRG kept their foot on the gas. That's first blood for the defending world champions at minute 12. Despite Dardes' best efforts, NRG show why you just never give up.
The unfortunate set of circumstances for Nulissa as Dardes' steroid was on cooldown. Didn't have the movement speed to be able to really get away from that one. The wall was good, but you could still destroy those walls after 5 hits or so, making it very easy for a coordinated team to rally together to be able to chase down that kill. And it was 12 minutes until we saw first blood this game.
I like that play where NRG goes for the lesser of 2 objectives here, and even better by Elevate to actually go for the Gold Fury, but I don't know if they can here. Only half HP. They simply don't have the damage. Jermaine's going to get caught around from the backside, and Cherio goes a little bit too far, but now they're looking for Emilito.
He wrapped around behind, trying to flank. He got them off of the Gold Fury, but could have definitely taken a lot more damage. It was a nice little shield from Raffer through the Gold Fury wall to save his Hunter for the time being, but at the end of the day, NRG, they clean up the first blood of the game at 12 minutes. They get the Portal Demon, and they stop Elevate from getting that very important Gold Fury for themselves to get back in the game.
So the reason I liked them going for the Portal Demon, Totally, was everybody was still hanging out by the Gold Fury. It was kind of like you go to a concert and everybody's hanging out in the parking lot afterwards, right? Everybody's still there. When you go to the Portal Demon way around the block, nobody's there anymore. Everybody's still chilling at the concert venue, and you're at the secret restaurant that nobody knows about. Nobody's bothering you. You pick up the Portal Demon for free. Nobody from Elevate even thought about showing up. So yeah, it's a little bit less of an objective than the Gold Fury, but even with the 5-on-4, NRG respected Elevate's tools and itemization enough to say, look, even though we have the 5-on-4, this still isn't a fight that we want to take. We expended a lot of our tools ourselves to take the win. So let's just go across the street and pick up the Portal Demon.
Very smart tactical play out of NRG because they went outside of that normal checklist that you would see. You know, check Gold Fury, check Portal Demon, check Fire Giant, check. No, skipping the first step, but Dardes taking a lot.
Check. Gotta check himself. 10% HP, gonna turn into 0. Adapting shows up, takes down 1. Emilito gets a second. Nulissa trying to run away and will. Adapting turns his face to Jermaine, and he's going to find him right here in the corridor. Hits him with a slice and dice, but dashes away as soon as the roll comes from Realm.
Cherio getting punished for not having purification beads. He got turned into the little piggy and couldn't go all the way back home, unfortunately. But now NRG, they get themselves that Gold Fury after that 2-for-0 clean engage, while Adapting keeps Jermaine busy in the dueling, because we've seen Jermaine time in and time out always find these little glorious ways of stealing Gold Furies or Fire Giants.
And that's very important that adapting sort of occupying his time, right?
Also managing to get some farm, not only stopping the potential Gold Fury steals, so NRG just all across the board playing lights out thus far. Very clean.
Yeah, and remember what we were talking about, Elevate, going through their steps of becoming a stronger team? Going outside of their checklist for NRG, that's sort of the beyond that I was talking about, that next level, find your playbook and do things that will surprise your opposition. Those are the type of things. Go for the Portal Demon while the Gold Fury's still up, because you understand the intricacies of team fights and why their tools versus your tools, even with the 5-on-4, won't wind up favorable. Because NRG make that strange decision, they're able to back around, find the Gold Fury a little bit later when it's much more in their favor. Risk versus reward is a conversation you have to have almost every play you make in SMITE, but there's no reason to go too much in the way of risk.
Even more risk versus reward is the itemization choices here coming out of Dardas in that second relic slot. The Bracer of Undoing here. A great item for a Cabrakan support if you think about it, because you get 3 seconds off of your cooldown. So you pop your whole kit and then you use, and you're gonna obviously take a lot of damage during your tremors anyway, so you save that ability for the last one. As you're taking damage during your tremors, you're gonna get 50% of your health and mana back with the previous 3 seconds worth of damage that you take, and as a result, you're able to turn teamfights around really well here, and Dardas picking this up means he's really looking to stay in that backline as long as he can.
At the same time, this is an item that really benefits from it's an anti-burst item, right? Which NRG, I mean, they've got a bunch of Sunders, they're looking to burst people down, but the God selection isn't exactly, I guess I'll take that back. It's not burst in the way of like super Kraken in every lane, but it's somewhere in between, put it that way. So I like the selection because NRG have sort of shown their hand by going double Sunder. They're saying, hey, we want to blow people up, and Cabrakan saying, blow me up, I'll get all my health back and we'll do it again.
But it's not only just the Sunders, it's also the ultimate out of adapting, playing this Nemesis, taking a huge portion of your health percentage, taking a portion of your protections away. You're able to sustain that back up for a small portion of it and stay relevant in these team fights, and still going for a nice little defense selection here between the Reinforced Greaves, the Mark of the Vanguard. A lot of good damage mitigation here on this Cabrakan.
And then theoretically, you know, the way it works on paper, Cabrakan hits you with the stun, goes into the rest of his kit, drops down the tremors. Now he's the prime target. He gets bursted. He hits Bracer. Walrus hands are back up. Snap, you get double stunned, and then all of a sudden he's a lot more healthy, and he can go ahead and continue on doing Cabrakan.
He could just keep smiting on as the Gold Fury is about to respawn in a minute and a half, adapting. Finally looking to gank that solo lane, but it's a level 15, hold that thought, 16 Osiris with that mystical mail, and despite obviously Nemesis having the tools available to strip away your protections and a big chunk of your health, Osiris is still very tanky with his passive afterwards, and the tether comes after the Nemesis ultimate, so even though you're stripping away the protections, you're dealing less damage while you're tethered.
18.5 minutes on the clock. NRG Esports able to wrestle away a lead throughout the mid-game. 2,500 gold to be precise, and a little bit of an experience lead, which is interesting, and I want to break this one down. We talked a little bit about, well, we're talking a lot about NRG taking the Portal Demon right now, because that's exactly what they're doing. Elevate not going to be allowed onto the set. Here comes Raffer blinking forward, trapping no numbers. NRG do get the Portal, and that's what they're going to look for. And Nulissa now, Aegis down. Wants to find an exit, that be that. And Elevate should not engage here, but they're looking for it anyway.
They're hoping that maybe somebody from NRG would get caught slipping off guard. One of those gazelles that gets caught away from the pack. That's the thought and the mindset. And I like what Alyssa did there. She went inside the Dardas, but then immediately ran away in case, or jumped out of ship, because in case Dardas wants to engage as this Cabrakan support with his relics, he needs to be able to still stay relevant in these team fights.
Tier 2 being aggressed on by NRG. Sands, Fire Giant, they're just going for it. They know Nulis is back at base, so it's a 5-on-4. Keep in mind, by the way, their ROM is pushing up on the left-hand side, so it was a 5-on-3 when NRG engaged. Nulissa shows up to make that a 5-on-4. Tower still goes down, but the Tier 2 is going to be defended by Dimmy over there on the left-hand side. Well done, just poor timing coming out from Elevate. Less than making a bad mistake, and more the minions just weren't at the right spot. You can't plan for that.
I would have almost liked to see a duo man split push here coming out of Elevate, because 5-on-4 here, the way NRG plays these team fights, they're just gonna punish you and strip and like not only win the team fight, but be able to take away your tower. Very fortunate for Dimmy and the rest of his teammates that his teleport was available to defend that tier 2 tower, to not allow Elevate to get back that 1,500 gold.
That's something that NRG do almost all the time. Dimmy keeps his teleport for situations like that. He understands. Maniac does it as well on Obey, and what a surprise, there are two of the higher end teams. Keeping track of your teleport is very important for a solo laner. It's not just about getting back to lane where you get spanked in the early moments. You really got to be able to use that relic beyond the first 10 minutes in order to help you become that next level solo laner.
And not just that for defensive options, but whenever you're sieging, you're trying to absorb a lot of damage, and whenever you do get down to about that 10 to 20% threshold, you want to make sure that you still have that teleport to be able to get back to base, heal all the way up, and then allow your teammates to ward in a very nice position where you can still use that teleport to get back into the team fight and maybe look for one of these side sneaky flanks.
Right now, adapting. No flank. Just chasing Cherio through the jungle. No number's going to show up.
And Adapting managing to get back into the game. Cherio just now hitting level 16. Adapting's been 17 for quite a while here, about to hit level 18 here, as the rest of NRG, they're grouping up around this tier 1 mid tower. Elevate, they really need to stop this.
And they're going to try. But try being the operative word. The teleport in is going to make it a 5-on-5, and no numbers comes through with his passive fully stacked. And you do back off just a little bit. Again, no Fire Giant buff, just a 4,000 gold lead. This is absolutely a fight that Elevate can take. All 5 ultimates on both sides.
But Cherio is going to the right-hand side. He's going to the solo lane instead of staying in the mid lane. That's going to trigger NRG to start the action in mid. Adapting is going to position himself in the side, though.
And that call gives the tower up. I mean, it's a tier 1 for a tier 1 here because the minions will likely take it down, but Emilito's getting the solo laner as well. There goes no numbers. The call is to commit to the right side tower push, but it's going to be a tier 1 for probably a tier 2 here, Anatoly. Elevate just dropping the ball with a fantastic early game, and the mid game and the late game, it all comes undone. Dardes is going to be chased down by NRG underneath the Phoenix, but the Phoenix is the actual target, and it will be taken down to about half HP already.
Cherio just not in the right place, being in the right-hand side. Jermaine trying to find the snipes, connect on the first, misses the second and third. Can't really find anything there.
Backing off.
NRG, they find no numbers. They get 2 towers in mid lane. They're very comfortable with extending their goal lead as they're going to transition here towards the Gold Fury more than likely. And this could allow maybe Elevate to look for a sneaky Fire Giant.
NRG's getting gold. Elevate are going to walk towards FG. How quickly can they blow this one up? We know Emilito has to go back to the base. He's too low. Adapting's here fighting 1v3 as Osiris is still in the base. I don't think they can get the Fire Giant here totally. I liked that call, but just not going to happen for Elevate.
Dimmy with the teleport just there to be able to thwart the efforts out of Elevate. One small misstep and NRG will punish you. I like the positioning originally from Cherio as he went towards the right side jungle, thinking that he was going to blink in, use that Fear No Evil, disrupt the team fight completely as a Hunbats. But that wasn't the case. Instead, he thought to himself that maybe this would have been the better call. Whoever made that call is definitely needing to reevaluate some situations here, because in a 5v4 without a Hunbats ultimate,
You're Hunbats.
you need, that's a huge team fighting ultimate.
It's arguably the most disruptive ultimate in the game when it comes to players grouped up being team fight centric. If you sent virtually any other character to the solo lane, I would still think it was the wrong call, but at least have a little bit of a, I see where you're coming from. You need that Fear No Evil. It's one of the best defensive ultimates in the game, preventing a siege.
Absolutely. Like, why not just have Jermaine go farm and chill, try to get to level 20?
Yeah.
He's going to be your late game carry, playing this romp, going for a crit build with the Rage already complete. More than likely will finish off that Deathbringer, but instead it was Cherio, so they will get punished for it. Gonna have to lick their wounds as they lost the tier 2 tower in mid, they lost the Gold Fury Portal Demon, and this goalie that NRG's built for themselves, it was very slow and stagnant here coming out of NRG. It was like for 12 minutes, not until that first blood happened on Alyssa, this game was pretty much even. But not 10 minutes later, they have a very commanding 8,000 gold lead.
And it was, we were talking about that new style for NRG, the season of Dimmy, right? Where they were just looking for those slight mistakes. Cherio and Nulissa were up by about a level and a half until NRG find the opportunity. They get the Portal Demon after that team fight. That's where the break really happened. Now NRG looking for something a little bit bigger than the Portal Demon, putting their eyes on the Fire Giant. Adapting gets destroyed thanks to a Fear No Evil. It's a 5-on-4. Look at the ultimate and what it does.
The Purification Beads was down because he used it trying to stop the Fire Giant from earlier on.
Yep.
Elevate did a nice little tactic there to get that relic off the table.
Smart
Cherio.
play. Mwah. Love it. Elevate in the past have gone for objectives, bit off more than they can chew is the idiom. This is exactly what they need to go for. Tier 1 tower in the mid lane, running into some trouble though. NRG on the back end is stopping the zoning. Coming out from No Numbers and Dardes. Raffer comes in, 3-man Kata chasing out on his beads. Jermaine in trouble on the left-hand side. Full retreat from Elevate. No Numbers barely hanging on. Cherio goes right, everybody else stays in lane. Elevate will be safe. But safe might not be enough. They trail by 8,000, and NRG Esports heading towards the Fire Giant. And they've got a teleport player coming in as well. There's No Numbers on the right side.
Oh no, Jermaine having to go to the sky. Nalissa's right underneath of him as well. These are going to be two of your hyper carries eliminated. The rest of NRG trying to find it, but they can't. They didn't want to commit. No Numbers came back into the team fight completely healthy.
No Numbers and Dardes, perfect positioning from two of your frontliners doing literally that, being frontliners.
I thought they were both guaranteed dead once he landed.
Yeah. No, that was just just fantastically played by Elevate. It's interesting watching this Elevate team play, Toli, because you're watching them learn on the fly, but they already have so many individual talents, and as a unit, they make team plays as well like that. But obviously, NRG, the double defending world champions, the past 2 years, taking the crown, might have a leg up on them in that decision-making category.
No Numbers taking a little bit of poke from that Stellar Burst out of Yamming. Fire Giant keeps getting flirted with by both of these teams, not wanting to commit quite yet. Heading into the 28-minute mark here, NRG still has a very comfortable here, 7,000 gold. Still force something here.
Still a lead they can fight into, which is why NRG are being so careful. They know that Elevate can absolutely fight into this. Nulis's ultimate is going to lower the damage that they do. But
just like that.
NRG do a great job at zoning and keeping Elevate out of the Fire Giant pit. Take it nice and easy.
The Supernova coming out of Yaman, the magical power between this soul here. Look at that items here. With that Rod of Tahuti complete, the penetration completed already with the Obsidian Shard. It's just too much burst damage, and if left unchecked, the soul with that 100% heat is going to be melting objectives between not only the magical power, but the attack speed that's provided by that passive.
So here's one of the issues that we're seeing with this Nox selection. Nox does very well at area denial. I want to attack this, and I'm going to put my puddle down here so you can't walk into it, or individual pickoffs. Now, unfortunately, that early and mid-game, Elevate had I won't say a lead, but they had the momentum, and they didn't really do anything with the momentum, and that's where Nulissa's Nox pick would have come into play. Get the momentum, trap players, and then allow yourself to go and go to the next level, right? Find the small leads. We didn't see that. And now in team fights, she's also coming up flat. This Nox is second from the bottom in player damage. Geb has double the player damage of Elevate's mid laner right now.
But to be fair, Raffer has been making some really nice Blink Cataclysm plays, especially to save his tier 1 mid tower there. That was the sole reason that is still standing for NRG. He found, I think, a 3 or 4-man ultimate, and with that knockup, considering a Cataclysm takes away a percentage of your health, that's a lot of damage for a Guardian though. But yes, like you mentioned, Nox to be half of the damage coming out of the Geb, not the prettiest sight in the world if you're an Elevate fan.
Yeah, and NRG with the Fire Giant able to go ahead and make the clean sweep of the map. All towers down, Gold's Fury down as well. Almost a half hour on the clock here. Very low kill count, just 5. And 4 of them belong to the pink and white here. NRG making their chase down the left-hand side, up over 10,000 gold here at Atoli, looking for what could be the final push.
Oh, nice blink cataclysm from Rafford. The knockup onto No Numbers, still being tethered, but it's Cherio that's going to be the first victim instead.
One for the money, and No Number's going to jump back, so he ain't the show. Now the Phoenix is going to be attacked. Half HP on the Firebird. It's already down. NRG now shifting over to the mid lane, looking for that bird, and Dardes can just watch. He's going to come forward, get the stun onto Dimmy. There's the counter engage coming out from the jungler, adapting, taking down Dardes as Emilito off of the assist from the jungle assassin. 3 players alive for Elevate. 1 seems to die every single Phoenix.
Well, we'll see if Jermaine can hold this on for a little bit longer as we're seeing the last and final Phoenix siege. Jermaine having to roll on backwards here. Nalissa as well with him with a Fire Giant buff around their waist for another minute. NRG are going to be really safe here. They're going to allow themselves more time and patience here as there's going to be fire minions flooding every single lane. NRG can afford this 2-minute window to secure the Titan.
I like this play, and I'll tell you why, because I like this play because of its very specific context, Anatoly. NRG understand that they have not played to the standards that they have set themselves over the past couple of years. And normally this is a play that would get me almost annoyed. You're up 15,000, you have the Fire Giant, it's a 5-on-2. Take the fight. You can walk in and go kill the Titan, but I respect the return to fundamentals. As a team that has won 2 consecutive world championships but find themselves floundering in the early part of the season, I like them paying attention to the basics.
It's just a very clean performance out of NRG. They only have 1 death, and the result of that 1 death is because of a nice play that Elevate took advantage of adapting without his purification beads. A slight misstep as he had to use it to stop Elevate from getting an early Fire Giant in desperation mode. But either way, NRG looking to clean out this first game in the set, trying to really separate themselves over the pack, because right now they're tied in the standings with Obey Alliance at 2 points each.
And I mean, Obey, I think, is the de facto quote-unquote best team in the world. A lot of people are asking, a lot of people are saying that, a lot of people are qualifying them as, you know, the look-at team, but NRG poised to make a return to that spot, are playing ultra clean, trying to perfect their game. Adapting takes down Nulissa, and the fight is continuing. Yaman goes ahead and takes out Cherio. No Numbers winds up with a kill on the Hunter, but it's just not enough. The duo lane, the only ones alive for Elevate right now, and NRG Esports looking at the Titan and taking it down as we speak.
Very clean game, 32 minutes in. NRG, they're going to be able to secure this first game, looking very strong. The question is going to remain is, can they avoid the split against the split?